Chapter 10. The most important lesson of leadership. Staff development. The growth and development of people is the highest calling of leadership. Chapter 7 emphasizes the general development of people. This chapter will center on the development of a staff, but it is impossible to go into depth on this important subject in one chapter. The intent of this book is to help establish a leadership foundation. Therefore, I have dealt only with basics in the hope that I can help you develop the leader in you. I will write another book that will enable you to develop the leaders around you. When I turned 40, I began to review my life. I made a list of all the things I was doing at that time. My list included senior pastor of a congregation of 3,500 attenders, oversight and development of 13 pastors, president of Enjoy, Incorporated, a company that develops resource materials for thousands of people. A national and international speaking schedule with over 400 engagements annually. Producing a monthly leadership tape for Enjoy Life Club subscribers, writing a book every 18 months. Working on another education degree. And most important, taking enough time for my wife, Margaret, and our 2 children, Elizabeth and Joel Porter. After writing out my list, my conclusion was twofold. I didn't have any more hours, and therefore I couldn't work any harder, and my future growth in production would be determined by my ability to work through other people. These 2 realities enabled me to search for and find the most important leadership lesson I've ever learned. Those closest to the leader will determine the level of success for that leader. Niccolò Machiavelli said, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him." I'm not certain this subject is an issue of IQ, but I am sure that it is a test of leadership. Leaders who continue to grow personally and bring growth to their organizations will influence many and develop a successful team around them. The better the players, the better the leader. Few people are successful unless a lot of people want them to be. Andrew Carnegie said, "It marks a big step in your development when you come to realize that other people can help you do a better job than you could do alone." Below is an illustration of what can happen to an organization when the key players slightly increase their potential while they work for the same team. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 equals 243 plus 25% increase individually. 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 equals 1024 plus 400% increase together. A great leader develops a team of people who increase production. The result, the leader's influence and effectiveness begin to multiply, working through others instead of adding, working by oneself. That no man can sincerely try to help another without helping himself is, according to Ralph Waldo Emerson, one of the most beautiful compensations of this life. David Jackson, founder and chief executive officer of Altos Computer Systems, said, "In my experience, the real turning point in a company is when you go from 1 to 2 people. Then, at least, there's someone to answer the phone while you eat your lunch." All leaders have war stories of bad experiences in leading and developing staff. Perhaps this humorous illustration will help us laugh about our past experiences and allow us to get a second wind to begin building a winning team around us. As nearly everyone knows, a leader has practically nothing to do except to decide what is to be done. Tell somebody to do it. Listen to reasons why it should not be done or why it should be done in a different way. Follow up to see if the thing has been done. Discover that it has not. Inquire why. Listen to excuses from the person who should have done it. Follow up again to see if the thing has been done, only to discover that it has been done incorrectly. Point out how it should have been done. Conclude that as long as it has been done, it may as well be left where it is. Wonder if it is not time to get rid of a person who cannot do a thing right. Reflect that the person probably has a spouse and a large family, and any successor would be just as bad and maybe worse. Consider how much simpler and better matters would be now if he had done it himself in the first place. Reflect sadly that he could have done it right in 20 minutes, and, as things turned out, he has had to spend 2 days to find out why it has taken 3 weeks for somebody else to do it wrong. In spite of all the problems that arise in the development of staff, 2 facts are certain. First, only as we develop a team do we continually succeed. A Chinese proverb says, "If you are planning for 1 year, grow rice. If you are planning for 20 years, grow trees." If you are planning for centuries, grow men. Second, only as we develop a team do we continually multiply. A picture of a winning team. Winning teams have great leaders. Pick good people. Play to win. Make other team members more successful. Keep improving. Winning teams have great leaders. Everything rises and falls on leadership. There are two ways you can get others to do what you want. You can compel them to do it, or you can persuade them. Compulsion is the method of slavery. Persuasion is the method of free men. Persuading requires an understanding of what makes people tick and what motivates them, that is, a knowledge of human nature. Great leaders possess that knowledge. In a recent survey, 70 psychologists were asked, what is the most essential thing for a supervisor to know about human nature? 2/3 said that motivation, an understanding of what makes people think, feel, and act as they do, is uppermost. If you understand what motivates people, you have at your command the most powerful tool for dealing with them. People management has been studying the personal histories of tens of thousands of people since 1961. They found that, without exception, people repeat a pattern of behavior every time they accomplish something they think they do well and find deeply satisfying. They also found that excellent leaders underscore this behavior in the following ways. Excellent leaders create the right environment. They believe in their team. This creates an environment for success. The best way to gain and hold the loyalty of your personnel is to show interest in and care for them by your words and actions. Sam Walton said, outstanding leaders go out of the way to boost the self-esteem of their personnel. If people believe in themselves, it's amazing what they can accomplish. Excellent leaders know basic human needs. Paul Bear Bryant, the legendary football coach at the University of Alabama, said there are 5 things winning team members need to know. 1. What is expected from each one. 2. That each will have an opportunity to perform. 3. How each one is getting along. 4. That guidance will be given where each needs it, and 5. That each will be rewarded according to his contribution. Excellent leaders keep control of the Big Three. Any leader who wants to play an active role in all areas of the organization may be tempted to take on too many responsibilities. However, 3 areas are crucial to the leader's authority and success. 1. Finance. Because the finance staff is a prime means of exercising executive control in any organization. 2. Personnel. Because the selection of people will determine the organization. 3. Planning. Because the plan determines the future of the organization. Excellent leaders avoid the 7 deadly sins. 1. Trying to be liked rather than respected. 2. Not asking team members for advice and help. 3. Thwarting personal talent by emphasizing rules rather than skills. 4. Not keeping criticism constructive. 5. Not developing a sense of responsibility in team members. 6. Treating everyone the same way. 7. Failing to keep people informed. T. Boone Pickens said, there are many ways to avoid mistakes, but the best way to sidestep the disasters is to be available. You don't have to make every decision, but you should always be accessible. If your people are smart, they will keep you informed, and if you're informed, you're a part of the decision. With that in place, it's easy for you to back your people, and that eliminates second guessing. Winning teams pick good people. When building the staff for his newly conceived computer company, H. Ross Perot hired the best people he could find. His motto is, eagles don't flock. You have to find them one at a time. He was saying that you can't build a strong team on weak individuals. Adlai E. Stevenson said that there are only 3 rules of sound administrators. Pick good people, tell them not to cut corners, and back them to the limits. Picking good people is the most important. Bob Beal says that from 60 to 80% of the success of any company or organization is attributable to 3 factors. A clear direction, the right team of players, sound finances. That's why few things are as important as putting the right people in the right places. Recently I read a humorous article entitled, Who Not to Hire. It said never hire anyone who is accompanied by his or her A. slave, B. attorney with a tape recorder, C. bodyguard, D. teddy bear, E. police escort, F. mother, who brags about being smarter than any 3 of the jerks he or she has worked for previously. Whose resume runs longer than 40 pages? Whose resume is printed in crayon? Who hisses at your questions? Who occasionally lapses into pig Latin? Who breaks into racking sobs when asked to name a personal reference? Who is unable to decide hair and eye colors? Who is, by court order, on permanent intravenous sedation? Who tries to impress you with his or her repertoire of knock-knock jokes? Who, under salary requirements, scrawls, "I want it all now"? While you're laughing, remember that Murphy's Law would seem to conclude that the ideal resume will turn up one day after the position is filled. Still, getting the right people in the right places is crucial to the success of your organization. There are 5 principles for picking people that will help you get the best candidates on your team. 1. The smaller the organization, the more important the hiring. Small organizations often make the mistake of thinking that they can get by with inferior staff members because they are small. The opposite is true. In a firm of 100 employees, if one is inferior, the loss is only 1%. But if the organization has a payroll of 2, and one is inferior, the loss is 50%. However, the bright side is that it's much easier to pick one excellent person than 100. 2. Know what kind of person you need. Personal requirements. Listed below are the top 20 personal requirements I look for in a potential staff member. 1. Positive attitude. The ability to see people and situations in a positive way. 2. High energy level. Strength and stamina to work hard and not wear down. 3. Personal warmth. A manner that draws people to them. 4. Integrity. Trustworthy. Good solid character. Words and walk are consistent. 5. Responsible. Always comes through. No excuses. Job delegated, job done. 6. Good self-image. Feels good about self, others, and life. 7. Mental horsepower. Ability to keep learning as the job expands. 8. Leadership ability. Has high influence over others. 9. Followership ability. Willingness to submit, play team ball, and follow the leader. 10. Absence of personal problems. Personal, family, and business life are in order. 11. People skills. The ability to draw people and develop them. 12. Sense of humor. Enjoys life, fails to take self too seriously. 13. Resilience. Able to bounce back when problems arise. 14. Track record. Has experience and success, hopefully in 2 or more situations. 15. Great desire. Hungers for growth and personal development. 16. Self-discipline. Willing to pay the price and handle success. 17. Creativity. Ability to see solutions and fix problems. 18. Flexibility. Not afraid of change. Fluid. Flows as the organization grows. 19. Sees big picture. Able to look beyond personal interest and see the total picture. 20. Intuitive. Able to discern and sense a situation without tangible data. 3. Know what the job requires. A job has certain characteristics that require specific skills and personality traits. These 10 general questions will help a leader pick the right person. Does the job require 1. An upfront or a behind-the-scenes person? 2. A generalist or a specialist? 3. A producer or a maintainer? 4. A people person or a paper person? 5. A leader or a supporter? 6. A veteran or a rookie? 7. A creative thinker or an abstract thinker? 8. Constant supervision or little supervision? 9. A team player or an individual? 10. Short-term commitment or long-term commitment? The more you know about the kind of person you need and what the job requires, the greater your odds of hiring the right individual. Kurt Einstein says, hiring the wrong person's costs your company at least 2 years' salary. Many times there is a much higher price that is paid, not in cash, but strained relationships, bad PR, and lack of trust. Often I am asked in leadership conferences, how do you know which staff person to hire? I always laugh and say, you never know for sure, and my track record underscores that comment. These are some guidelines I have tried to follow when looking for staff. Know what you need before you start looking for someone. Take time to search the field. Call many references. Have several interviews. Include your associates in some of the interviews and ask for their input. Interview the candidates' spouses. Check out the candidates' track records. If possible, have a trial run to see if the job and the potential staff match. Ask hard questions, such as, why did you leave? What can you contribute? Are you willing to pay the price? Trust your instincts. There is only so much you can put on paper. If it looks good on paper but feels bad inside, go slowly. In fact, back off and let an associate take over, then compare conclusions. Personally, I only hire a person if it looks good and feels good. 4. Know what the potential staff member wants. People work harder, stay longer, and do better on the job when they like what they do. Realizing this truth, I always make sure the potential team player feels good about me as the leader, the other players on the team, and the vision and requirements of the team. I always say to them, don't come unless it feels right. I know that no amount of money, attention, privileges, and promises will motivate a staff member who really does not want to be on the team. It is also important that the spouse feels good about the job. Positive feelings of a staff member will slowly disappear if the spouse is unhappy. 5. When you cannot afford to hire the best, hire the young who are going to be the best. Then, believe in them. That will encourage risk. Show them. That will build respect. Love them. That will strengthen relationships. Know them. That will personalize development. Teach them. That will enhance growth. Trust them. That will develop loyalty. Expand them. That will provide challenges. Lift them. That will ensure results. Winning teams play to win. The difference between playing to win and playing to not lose is the difference between success and mediocrity. I grew up in Ohio and became a fan of Big Ten football. Over the years I observed that Big Ten teams usually lost the big game every year at the Rose Bowl. Why? Were Pac-10 teams consistently better? No, the margin of victory was not a result of talent. It was a result of how each team approached the game. Big Ten teams played conservatively, trying not to lose. Pac-10 teams played wide open, trying to win. Each time new staff members join our team, I give them each a plaque and ask them to display it on the wall of their offices. The words on the plaque read, "I don't have to survive." At the presentation, I encourage them to be not survivors. I remind them to take risks, make tough decisions, live on the edge, and make a difference. People who play it safe continually miss opportunities and seldom make progress. It's the same way in baseball. You cannot steal second base with your foot on first. This is a favorite poem of mine. It describes those bland, safe people. There was a very cautious man, who never laughed or played. He never risked, he never tried. He never sang or prayed. And when he one day passed away, his insurance was denied, for since he never really lived, they claimed he never really died. A recent survey of workers across the United States revealed that nearly 85% of those interviewed said they could work harder on the job. More than half claimed they could double their effectiveness, if they wanted to. Winning teams are seldom more talented than losing teams. But they are always more committed. They want to win. They pay the price and go after victory. The crowd in the bleachers may wonder how they got so lucky, but the team members know they played to win. Winning teams make their team member more successful. In other words, because of the other members of the team, each player is better than the player would be if he or she played alone. Vince Lombardi, one of the all-time great head coaches, said, "Start by teaching the fundamentals." A player's got to know the basics of the game and how to play his position. Next, keep him in line. That's discipline. The men have to play as a team, not as a bunch of individuals. Then you've got to care for one another. You've got to love each other. Most people call it team spirit. Robert W. Keitel said that trying to change individual and/or corporate behavior without addressing the larger organizational context is bound to disappoint. Sooner or later bureaucratic structures will consume even the most determined of collaborative processes. As Woody Allen once said, "The lion and the lamb may lie down together, but the lamb won't get much sleep." What to do? Work on the lion as well as the lamb by designing teamwork into the organization. Although the Boston Celtics have won 16 championships, They have never had the league's leading scorer and never paid a player based on his individual statistics. The Celtics understand that virtually every aspect of basketball requires close collaboration. There are significant ways to engage in better team building. Know the key to each player. Every individual has a personal agenda, the real reason he or she wants to be on the team. That personal agenda is the key to motivating each player. Map out a team mission. Lay out the vision. Develop organizational mottos, names, symbols, and slogans. This will encourage pride in team memberships. Define the role of each player. This will help avoid unnecessary rivalries by clearly identifying each person's role within the group. This will also avoid the fairness issue that is common with staffs. Each player will be appreciated for his or her contribution to the team. Create a group identity. Establish your group's worth by examining and promoting its history and values. Create memories together as a group. Use liberal doses of we and our. Team building involves getting the members to feel a sense of ownership in what they are doing as a group. When the group has done well, it is important to praise the entire effort without singling out individuals. Communicate with everyone. Don't be a fact hog. Share information with everyone who is affected, not with just the key players. People are usually down on what they are not up on. As a leader, you will know you have succeeded when the members of your team put the interests of the group over their own. Do you recall when Edmund Hillary and his Sherpa guide, Tenzing, made their historic climb of Mount Everest? Coming down from the peak, Hillary suddenly lost his footing. Tenzing held the line taut and kept them both from falling by digging his axe into the ice. Later Tenzing refused any special credit for saving Hillary's life. He considered it a routine part of the job. As he put it, mountain climbers always help each other. Winning teams keep improving. Whenever an organization is through improving, it's through. Why is it that a professional football, basketball, or baseball team seldom repeats as the world champion in consecutive years? Mainly, it's because of the temptation to keep all the players, practices, and strategies the same as the previous year. Too many think that if they stay put, they can stay on top. That's not true. Either the current players must keep growing and improving, or potentially better ones must be brought into the organization. Continued success is a result of continued improvement. The first objective of the leader is to develop people, not to dismiss them. Studies have shown that day-to-day coaching, rather than comprehensive annual appraisals, is most effective for improving performance. This coaching process has two crucial components: setting specific objectives and holding frequent progress reviews. Objectives should specify end results, the exact extent of achievement the manager expects, and should be tied to a timetable. How many objectives should the employee be given? In our experience, a few are better than too many. If the subordinate is overloaded, expecting all the objectives to be accomplished is unreasonable. Remember, the objectives are the primary measuring stick. By end results, we mean what should be observably different as a result of the subordinate's performance on the job. All too often employees expect to be evaluated on the basis of how much effort they are putting into the job, rather than what they are accomplishing. This is especially true of weak performers. It is critical that the manager make clear that certain outcomes are expected and the subordinate will be held accountable for them. The manager should make every effort to set mutually acceptable goals. If there is disagreement, however, the manager must unhesitatingly insist upon setting the objectives. Remember, performance, not just effort, is the yardstick for meeting objectives. Frequent progress reviews accomplish three things. First, they serve as a continual reminder that reaching the objectives is important to the person's career. Second, reviews give the manager a chance to recognize positive movement toward objectives. Third, if progress is not forthcoming, the manager can listen to the reasons for lack of performance and attempt to get the subordinate on track. The review becomes a problem-solving session. Whether or not the employee makes progress, holding reviews permits the manager or boss to remain in control of the process. If you have more than 3 people reporting to you right now, chances are you are unhappy with at least one of them. The situation usually has one or more of these elements. The person is not doing a top-notch job, but not a terrible one either, so you keep him or her around. Finding someone else who can do the job means interviewing, hiring, taking a risk, and then training the new person. You do not have time for that either. The person definitely is not doing the job, but you like him or her, or more likely you feel sorry for him or her. You don't quite have all the documentation you need to fire this person. Your last review was too flowery, and you have not really said how unhappy you were with the individual's work. The result: nothing happens. But keep in mind that you and the person who needs to be dismissed are not the only two people in the equation. What too many leaders fail to realize are the facts. The situation is well known to other workers in the organization. No one can keep below par performance a secret. Your failure to fire will have a detrimental effect on your career. As a leader, your first and greatest responsibility is to the organization and its highest good. Whenever a person's leadership position puts the personal agenda of himself or herself ahead of the organization, that leader is a liability. The morale of the other employees suffers because you keep the below-par performer on the payroll while everyone else is pulling more than enough weight. Remember, it isn't the people you fire who make your life miserable, it's the ones you don't. If you have serious doubts about a staff member and have worked with him or her without success, it is better to have that person working somewhere else. How can dismissing a person be handled correctly? Bob Beal says the essence of doing it right is in maintaining this perspective. When you appropriately fire a person from a position in which he is failing, you are actually releasing him from that failure, and freeing him to seek a position in which he can find success. With a proper release, it's even possible to instill in a person the excitement that comes from anticipating a new adventure. Obviously, the optimum scenario is to interview well, hire well, and then begin to develop your staff to reach their, and your, greatest potential. There are 3 phases of potential. 1. I maximize my potential. I pour my energy into myself. 2. I maximize the potential of others. I pour my energy into key people. 3. They maximize my potential. They pour their energy into me. Producers excel only at phase 1. Leaders excel at phases 1 and 2. Fortunate leaders excel at phases 1 and 2 and experience phase 3. Let's take a moment now to stop and consider your strengths as a leader. This evaluation will allow you to review those areas of importance to a leader we've discussed in the pages of this book, while reinforcing the areas you need to emphasize in your development. Just circle the number that corresponds with how you see your ability right now. 1. Means mastered. 2. Means strong. 3. Means satisfactory. 4. Means needs growth. 5. Means difficult. Common strengths outstanding leaders share. Dreaming. Rate from 1 to 5. Never let go of a dream until you're ready to wake up and make it happen. In working with leaders, I have often asked myself, does the man make the dream, or does the dream make the man? My conclusion: both are equally true. Goal setting. Rate from 1 to 5. A goal is a dream with a deadline. If you don't know what you want and where you are going, you will get next to nothing and end up nowhere. Influencing. Rate from 1 to 5. The very essence of all power to influence lies in getting the other person to participate. People do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. Personal organization. Rate from 1 to 5. Organizing is what you do before you do something, so that when you do it, it's not all mixed up. Christopher Robin in Winnie the Pooh. Prioritizing. Rate from 1 to 5. He is a wise man who wastes no energy on pursuits for which he is not fitted, and he is wiser still who, from among the things he can do well, chooses and resolutely follows the best. William Gladstone. Problem solving. Rate from 1 to 5. The majority see the obstacles. The few see the objectives. History records the successes of the latter, while oblivion is the reward of the former. Alfred Armand Montepert. Risk-taking. Rate from 1 to 5. Risks are not to be evaluated in terms of the probability of success, but in terms of the value of the goal. Decision-making. Rate from 1 to 5. Your decisions will always be better if you do what is right for the organization rather than what is right for yourself. Creativity. Rate from 1 to 5. There is always a better way. Your challenge is to find it. Man's mind, once stretched by a new idea, never regains its original dimensions. Oliver Wendell Holmes. Hiring, firing. Rate from 1 to 5. There are only 3 rules of sound administration. Pick good people, tell them not to cut corners, and back them to the limit. Picking good people is the most important. Adlai E. Stevenson. When you appropriately fire a person from a position in which he is failing, you are actually releasing him from that failure, and freeing him to seek a position in which he can find success. Bob Beale. Evaluation. Rate from 1 to 5. People who reach their potential spend more time asking, "What am I doing well?" rather than, "What am I doing wrong?" The person who knows how will always have a job, but the person who knows why will always be the boss. If you are strong in or if you have mastered 4 areas, you are on level number 1. If you are strong in or if you have mastered 8, you are on level number 2. If you are strong in or if you have mastered every area, you are on level number 3, and that means you have a strong support team that has allowed you to grow beyond yourself. At this point in my life, I am fortunate to be living on the level number 3. I've grown beyond my own resources and am multiplying instead of adding because of those closest to me. I will be forever grateful to them. With them I will continue to lead. Because of them I will continue to grow. Some of these precious people are: Margaret Maxwell, my wife and best friend. Marrying her is the best decision I ever made. Stephen F. Babby, my colleague and the wisest person I know. Dick Peterson, my close friend, whose goal in life is to help me. Dan Ryland, my executive pastor, whose loyalty and energy are unequaled. Barbara Brumigan, my personal assistant, who has a servant's heart and superior skills. Melvin Maxwell, my father, who is my hero in life and mentor in leadership. These things probably cannot be taught. The others can be taught with a proper mentor, environment, and willingness by the staff member. Most of the qualities in the above list can be evaluated with a couple of interviews and tests.